I've been out of school for a while, but I remember what it felt like to be at the end of the year and only a few more classes to get through. I had a lot of fun that year, but I couldn't wait for the classes to be over so I could enjoy my summer. That's essentially how Dodgeball Academia feels. You'll enjoy your time with the game, but after a while, you can't wait to get to the ending and for the game to be over. Dodgeball Academia follows Otto, an optimistic kid who enrolls in an academy dedicated to the craft of dodgeball. You'll meet all kinds of different personalities as well as completely different people. Some have cute-shaped faces, others have elongated chins, and your roommate's head is literally a balloon. The designs of the characters, the way they speak, and how they act are reflective of the different kinds of personalities a kid would meet at school, you know, except for the actual cube-shaped heads and stuff. But they also fit perfectly into the theme of the story that you are acceptable as you are. The writing does a good job bouncing between childhood tropes of bullying and self-esteem issues and mixing it with the good-natured themes of friendship and teamwork. What does seem a bit ham-fisted is how the kids deal with their parents. The introduction to the parents is abrupt and there's obviously a rift between the parents and kids, but without spoiling too much. The message that it's okay to essentially flip off your parents feels antithetical to the overall theme of making relationships work, and it sends a bad message for a game that is clearly geared towards middle school aged kids. And while the parents aren't angels by any stretch, the writing between the kids and parents almost veers into the developer inserting their own parental trauma into the story without any significant context or resolution to what's presented in the game. Stories should obviously reflect one's experience, I'm not trying to debate that, but they should be given the proper time to develop and fulfill the theme they are going for. That's ultimately the biggest problem with Dodgeball Academia. It's a fun story, but some of the chapters don't push the narrative forward and are clearly inserted in order to allow the player to level up their character. Most of the academy is imbued with special dodgeball powers that come from the hero's dodgeball. That power allows you to perform an ultimate in the game. Your chief rival, Nino, is clearly upset. He never got his dodgeball powers and spends the entire game complaining about that and taking his anger out on Otto and his friends. And yet, an entire chapter is dedicated to fleshing out that particular detail without adding anything more to Nino's character. It's a waste of time and delays the bigger and better payoff that comes in the later chapters. If you're a fan of Pokemon, you'll immediately notice the similarities in structure in Dodgeball Academia. Battlers are placed all around the school campus waiting for you to pass by so they can stop and challenge you to a dodgeball battle. And they also come with their pre-match quips talking about how tough they are, or how they like shorts, or how they wish they could be the best. There's even an infirmary where you can take your injured party and heal up for free. It's like a Pokemon Center. Even the music has a lot of rhythmic similarities to the multi-billion-dollar monster catching game. But as similar as it feels to Pokemon, it doesn't feel like a ripoff of Pokemon. Dodgeball Academia is completely original in its presentation and concept, but clearly the developers used the structure of Pokemon to help guide their way. That originality is best seen in the game's combat system. Dodgeball Academia is considered an RPG, but it is an active combat system, and an absolutely entertaining one. You can have up to 3 players on the dodgeball court at one time, and a number of dodgeballs are placed on the ground and strewn around both sides of the court, sometimes not on your side at all. Once a match begins, you're tossing dodgeballs back and forth, trying to eliminate the opponent's HP. You can throw the ball slow or fast. Some players can make the ball curve several times. Some players lob their shots. Some players can throw a ball, make it disappear, and then it reappears. You'll find all sorts of ways people play the game, and it is a lot of fun to play against the varied number of opponents. You'll also have your own party of players who have different skills, and they all have their own ultimates that allow you to do massive damage, heal, buff, or help with crowd control, among other things. The basic concept of the system is fun, fair and comes with a lot of nuance. Not all of it is useful though. Countering is less useful than dodging, but some characters' ultimates require that you catch the ball. The only problem I have with this system is that when you have 3 players, they're all on the field at the same time, and they can take damage while they're on the field, even though you're only controlling one of them. They'll move when you move, but when you have balls coming from everywhere, it's way too difficult to try to protect the character you're controlling and the other 2. You can switch between them to take advantage of whatever perks they have, but that won't always help mitigate damage. Completing objectives can be very exhausting as well. Imagine going to school and you have one class that's on the east side of the campus, then one that's on the west side, then one on the south side, and then another back on the east side. Saying all of that sounded exhausting. That's how it feels traveling through the school's campus. The map itself is laid out well and each area is worth exploring, but between the main quests and the side quests, you could go from the main building to the forest, back to the main building, then to the lab, which is in the forest, to the cafeteria, and then back to the forest. You can get around faster by rolling, but that's also annoying because there's so many objects and people that get in your way and stop your roll. It just messes up the flow. There were quite a few times I found myself exasperated because of how many times I had to bounce back and forth between areas. The objectives themselves are interesting, and they do allow you to see the different parts of the campus and earn items that you can use to equip on your party members. But where the design goes wrong is that when you finish a chapter, if you have any leftover side missions, if you decide to go to the next day, you'll lose those side missions forever. For some of the missions, I do understand why, since some are predicated on the day you're playing on, but that also means you lose all the ability to level up or gain those items from those side quests. And I think if they didn't implement that kind of system, they wouldn't have had to extend the game's length in artificial ways. But even though there are some pretty strong gripes about Dodgeball Academia, the premise and overall execution can't be ignored. It's clearly a game designed for kids, but I thoroughly enjoyed the plot developments and characters, and there were even some lines that gave me a good laugh. It's a fun, quirky game and an excellent battle system that kept me wanting to see how battles were going to get zanier. Dodgeball Academia gets an 80 out of 100. Tap whatever thumb you'd like and subscribe, as you'll be getting more reviews and previews from us. If you'd like to read more of our written reviews on other games not featured on this channel, check out gamingtrend.com.